Greetings, mighty companions, and welcome back to Transforming Relationships Through a Course in Miracles with the Quinns.
And the Holy Spirit.
In the house. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us again for this exploration of the application of A Course in Miracles to the hardest places to apply them to, relationships.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun. All right, so we're going to do an on-air random number generator prayer where we ask Spirit to decide for healing for us. We ask Spirit, hey Spirit, what do you want us to learn tonight? Because that's what you're going to want us to teach tonight. So what is it you want us to learn tonight? And that's what we ask.
Yeah.
And then we do the random number generator. I've already put in the 31 chapters.
And hey, it's really helpful in your own lives. Not just that Anna and I would do this. We do this collectively for all of us. But you also, as you're entering into the reading of A Course in Miracles with us, asking Spirit, what would you have me take away? And that way you're already entering it now in the right mindset, which is to be guided by Spirit. That's the training of A Course in Miracles, is we need a guide. So learn to always be kind on that guide. But I'm just saying, I know for Anna and I, if we go into any situation, but especially when we're in a collective class setting together, learning together, what would you have me take away? Because like my takeaways are going to probably reflect on what Spirit's already been doing with me for the last however many weeks or months or even years. But it's going to be adding to that. And it's almost like Spirit getting my attention, not me getting Spirit's attention when I make the prayer. What would you have me take away from this? And in the class setting, community setting, collective environment of us all coming together, that can be extremely powerful when you're using it to learn the purpose of not only my own personal healing, my mind's healing, but now that I can be in addition to helping the healing of other minds.
Amen to that.
So
So think about what is it that Holy Spirit is wanting you to learn,
right?
As well as
us to get out of this.
Yes.
And then I think that you'll find that the collective sharing and readings will be multiplied that much over of what you get. Because now you've done what we're learning to do, which is to make invitation for our higher self to come in and to be a part of what we're doing.
And to help us out.
And when we're making invitation to learn truth,
that's a request that cannot be denied.
To learn how to be a helper of God's will, which is that the children of creation be happy.
Yeah.
And now you're going to be a facilitator with all of heaven to go out and to help make happy.
Amen to that.
What sign me up.
Exactly. The benefits package is the best in the universe.
It is. There's not a better corporation, company.
Nope, it should not.
Belief system.
That has better dividends.
Anything.
that has better dividends.
That gives not better guarantees, but better returns.
Yeah, amen. And
you don't need a guarantee when you get a return. And when you put the applications of what we're getting ready to read right now, whatever that would be, I know whatever it is, if we put it, and especially as Anna points out rightly, that we want to learn how to apply these to our relationships.
The toughest place to apply these principles is our relationships.
Right.
That's the main exception, but the most beneficial, the highest yield.
By far the most
beneficial.
Highest
yield. Even though it's the hardest to do.
Thank God we have our relationships that we get frustrated with so much sometimes. But thank God we have them, because they are the building blocks of which Creator made the plan of healing, salvation, or return home, whatever you want to call it, possible.
Yeah.
Without our relationships, without the other, nobody returns by themselves. Nobody awakens alone.
Got to remember for somebody else.
Yeah, without the other, everybody enters in like that one section 2 by 2.
The arc of peace is entered 2 by 2.
Yeah, to have peace, you have to have two to have peace. And we're all returning together. So.
All right.
I'm
okay.
Pumped up and I
All right. So that was up. And so now we say our random number generator prayer.
I'd like you to do that. Now, really feeling it. Like, give us a good example of inviting spirit into what we're doing.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit of healing, Spirit of truth. Thank you for this opportunity to hear the words you speak and give them to the world so that we can learn them ourselves. Thank you for this opportunity to help other people to remember what we want to remember for ourselves. Thank you for this opportunity. And so we ask that you decide for healing for everyone who will be watching this class, participating in this class anytime, anywhere. We ask that you decide for healing for them through us today. And we ask you to decide for that healing and to be in charge of this healing circle that we have formed here today. Thank you for deciding for it. Thank you for being in charge. And what would you have us learn today, Spirit of healing, Spirit of truth? What would you have us learn today that you're going to have us teach so that we can learn it ourselves? What is that? Decide for us. And thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
There we go.
And thank you, hon.
Yeah. So now we're doing random number generator. Chapter 1. That's wild. That's a very rare chapter number.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, January.
Mm-hmm. Well, 1 in the original edition.
And that you can't really show it to them on the screen. Oh, but it's like fiery red. It's hard to see on the screen.
It looks like sunrise colors.
Like sunrise, like new. Yeah.
So, all right. So in this book, it may be that chapter 1, the original edition, it may be that the whole chapter 1 is the miracle principles.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
That would be like, the entire chapter of chapter 1. That's not the case for the edited version, but for the original version, the whole first chapter is Principles of Miracles.
Yep. The 50, however many.
So, that makes the random number generator process very simple. Yes. It's 1 or 1. All right. Okay, well, I guess we're starting at the very beginning.
That's funny.
Look at that. Perfect for a new year.
While you were doing the random number generator, invite our higher loving self spirit into our experience here, I was really picturing we're still here, obviously, in learning school, because we're still believing that we're bodies and that we're limited, and that to have peace, something outside of us needs to happen a certain way. We're still here in learning school. And for a lot of us, we want to, some call it to ascension, like you're just going to be called up to heaven in the twinkling of an eye or something. And a lot of us feel, well, I don't look at it that way. I look at it as, I just want to graduate. I feel like I've been in school my whole life, and I'm done with this pretending to be limited beings and having to sacrifice and work to earn for your right to exist or to live. And I want what God has for me, what God established. And so I was thinking in terms of what little more do we have to learn to get graduated, to get out of here? That's what you're thinking about. And that's what I'm thinking about. Right. And then Spirit's like, well, okay, great. Then let's go back to the beginning. To the very beginning.
let's go back to the very beginning.
You want to know how little left you have left to do? Well,
We'll review the principles of miracles.
Start at the beginning of school in kindergarten.
Exactly. Let's review, shall we? Exactly. Because you don't graduate from school until you actually learn those lessons, you know. And so, if you want to graduate, you go and make sure you've learned those lessons.
Yeah, let's go over. Let's do a review.
All right. Okay, great. So then where we're at is chapter 1, section 1 of the now, if you have the edited version, if you have the blue book, then you are starting, it is chapter 1, section 1, principles of miracles. So it's the same thing. All right. Beautiful. So I think, let me see if I can catch myself. Let me see. Will you pull up my Facebook and see if you can do that? And if you can, will you put the chapter, or you could go to my YouTube. That's today.
This afternoon.
Or you can go to my YouTube and then in the comments.
And I'll check in on that again.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. All right.
Did you change it on the Facebook right now?
Yeah, I've been trying to, but it won't come up. It's not coming up live.
Okay.
So.
Sorry, folks. You've
That's
got
all right.
technical difficulty.
Yes, exactly.
We call it
learning.
Ego distraction.
Yeah, or learning. We're still learning. Luckily, readiness is not mastery. Okay, so I will, while Greg's doing that, I'm going to start. So Greg's going to find where he can post the chapter and section that we're doing. So, okay, beautiful.
Right
now,
I'll do it on YouTube.
Yes, that's right.
Chapter 1.
Section 1, Principles of Miracles.
Section 1. Principles of Miracles. And this is going to be fun because, because miracles mean so much different for me than they did before. Now I know, at least for me, a miracle is just a different perceptual way of looking at something.
Right.
One that took me from sorrow.
That's right.
And now the sorrow was replaced with gratitude and thanksgiving. That's quite
That's a big contrast.
A switcheroo.
It's quite a switch.
And that's why it's called a miracle.
And you go, oh my God, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
Right. I was feeling this horrible way, and now I'm feeling fabulous. Like, wow, that's a miracle. Because when you're feeling terrible, your ego's also telling you that you're going to be stuck that way forever. It's like you're going to be stuck like this forever. So, when you are able to shift from feeling really bad to really good, then that's quite, that's quite impressive. That's a miracle.
And what happens when that's a miracle? Everybody does what? Because I'm looking at the first one about your hands. You'll see miracles through your hands. Because when you're angry, what are your hands doing?
Yeah, for me, they're like.
And then you went, and then you went over to Jimmy's house. And what did you do over there? Did you call me?
No.
You're making all these threatening moves with your hands.
You're making threatening gestures. I know.
And when a miracle happens, what does every normal person, I'm not going to say everybody, because somebody's always going to want to keep to the old interpretation and still want to complain about what's happening. But when the miracle happens, what would the crowd do? They go, yeah, a miracle, a miracle.
It's when the supposed opposite.
Yeah, the hands are rejoicing.
Happens. That's right.
Now the hands are celebrating.
Because
now their gratitude, thanksgiving. Look at that energy going out into the heavens, into the universe. That now is going to echo back into what you're planting, giving, and receiving, as opposed to this is what you're giving it.
Exactly. I remember our early fights. You were like, "Get your hands out of my face," and I was like, not even realizing that my hands were like in your face.
and you're like that. That's just your.
And I talk with my
you're
hands.
An expressive
I talk with my hands. It's very true.
So when you're
Principle number one is you will see miracles through your hands, through me. Yeah. So that's the first thing, that the first sentence that the author of A Course in Miracles gives us to hear is, our teacher is saying, you will see miracles through your hands, through me. Yeah. So how are you going to experience miracles? Coming through you to another, through your hands. Yeah, and love through your hands.
I could be wrong, but what I said before I saw it differently, I would see that as in many of our cultures of religious beliefs, upbringing, that would mean that, put my hands on you.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you.
But through your hands, what I'm seeing, at least for me personally, is when you're angry, your hands are at a total, or carrying grudges or resentment. Your hands are like, when people are really angry, this is like the height of it, right? Mm-hmm. But when people are really happy, this is the height of it.
And miracles come through you to others.
Right.
That's, it's like, how do miracles happen? They happen through you for others.
Exactly.
So through your hands, through your facility, that's how miracles happen. That's how you'll see miracles as they come through you. That's when you'll see them.
Right.
And if you want to experience miracles, it's something that's coming through you for another. That's loving.
Yeah, because it's what you're giving.
Exactly. So if you want to see miracles, then you'll see them through your hands to another, right, from love. So that's the first thing that our teacher wants us to see. And so now it's going to do the principles of miracles. So there's at least 50 principles. I think in the edited there's 50. I don't remember how many there are in the original dictation, but it's the first part, and it's the principles of miracles. These are the principles by which you will experience miracles coming through your hands for others from love. These are the principles by which miracles are natural, and as right as breathing is to the body. This is the ideas that promote miracles, where the so-called impossible happens, and you go from a state of drama into a state of ecstasy and abundance. Okay, these are the principles by which miracles happen naturally and easily as breathing is to the body. So if you need a miracle in any area of your life where you think it would be impossible for you to experience peace and joy and abundance now, then these are the ideas you might want to apply to that area of your life so that you can experience a miracle where you go from lack and drama to ecstasy, joy, and abundance. These are the principles that enable you to make that shift in perception. So, miracle principle number 1. Are you guys ready? Or let me go to comments. All right. Thank you for doing that. Beautiful.
I'm just going to post on your Facebook.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. And I'll look and see if I'm live yet. It looks like I'm not. Okay. All righty then. Well, I am entitled to technical miracles.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what the Course would tell me to say. I am entitled to technological miracles. All right. So this is the first principle or thought or truth that makes miracles natural and easy in your experience. And it's this. Miracle principle number 1. The first principle of miracles is that there is no order. There is no order of difficulty among miracles. One miracle is not harder or, quote, bigger than another miracle. All miracles are the same. That's principle number 1 for experiencing a miracle.
And you actually addressed this in your class today. You were talking about how that there's not one situation, I forget exactly how you put it, but not one situation, not one problem. Oh, I remember, because the way it hit me was, you said that your ego comes up with, or whatever, that God cannot handle, or God wouldn't be God.
Exactly.
The problem would be God.
If there was one problem that God couldn't solve,
right,
then that would mean that problem was more powerful than God. And there's no problem that's more powerful than God.
And to solve means to transform it from, we were looking at as
a disaster, a catastrophe.
And God was looking at it as a blessing.
Absolutely.
And so we talked about that in the class today. But
exactly.
There's no order of difficulties.
Yes.
There's not any problem that we're going to bring the guy and go, well, you can't transform this one into good. This one is bad. Even if you're God, you couldn't make good out of this story.
Oh, really?
And,
you think God cannot transform that? Have you given
me a chance to look at it?
Exactly. Have you given me a chance?
Or is that just your theory that even I'm not?
Or is that just your projection onto me that I can't do that?
Because you can't.
Because you can't do that.
Because you can't see good.
And you can't do it because you're the one who made it.
Yeah.
So it's true. So that there is no order of difficulty in miracles. So one miracle is not more difficult than any other for love to do. Mm-hmm. Love isn't like, oh, that's a tough one. To love, there is no problem that is bigger or harder or more difficult to solve than any other problem. They're all exactly alike. All problems are exactly alike to love and not difficult for love to solve.
And so how do we powerfully use that for our relationships?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great question. Mm-hmm. And to remember that no matter what comes up in a relationship, whatever discord or pain or grievance or hurt or wound or whatever, that love is like, well, healing that in your relationship is no more different than healing anything else. Mm-hmm. Whereas I'm like, you can't heal that. You know what he did to me? I cannot be healed by that. Even God can't heal me from that. Right. And so all those things in our relationships where we're like, love can't heal that,
Or even just it's always great to focus on the big things, well, what about that story? Mm-hmm. But just the day-to-day stuff that we deal with, like in the relationship, just the little stuff. The other person did this, and our minds are triggered to think that it's not going right or something. Is that the Facebook one?
No.
Oh. Mm-hmm. But that it's not going right or something. That happens in our relationships constantly. Mm-hmm. And so when those times come up where we're questioning, this isn't going right, this isn't working out for good, and we know that when our peace is taken away at any point in time in any of our relationships, and we're being told right out the gate here, there's no relationship, no problem in any relationship where that problem that it's too big or too little. There's not an order of difficulty. If your peace at any level has been taken away, then you need to take the situation, the problem, the matter to your higher loving self and saying, I have a math problem, and you know how I am at math. Here you go.
Exactly. I have a relationship problem,
right? And
that's nothing for you. You know how to solve those. So here's this relationship problem. And so that's what the whole curriculum is about. Learning that all miracles are the same to love, and so don't be chintzy with the problems that you bring to love. Don't decide that, well, this is too big for love to solve. And so I'm not going to bring this to love.
Bother love with it.
Exactly. I know love can't solve this. Why? Because I can't solve this. Oh, that sounds like projection. It's like, I think love can't solve it because I can't solve it. So I think, well, if I can't solve it, nobody can solve it. Really? Where, yeah, just because you can't solve it, this problem may be foolproof, but it's not God proof. Yeah, it is foolproof, and you're the fool. I'm the fool, but it's not God proof.
Right.
And no problem is God proof. And that's the first principle of miracles. No problem is God proof.
Right.
No problem is love proof. No, zero. All problems are the same to love.
Yeah.
That's the first principle of miracles. And so that's the first thing you want to remember when it seems like, well, even love or God itself can't solve this. The first thing that you want to remember is there is no order of difficulty in miracles. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing you want to tell yourself, even though you don't believe it. All right. So,
P.S.
Yeah, and we know you don't believe it. That's why you need a miracle. So don't wait to say it till you believe it's true. No, you need it because you don't believe it's true. So the second principle of miracles that makes a miracle possible in your mind is that miracles in themselves do not matter. Miracles in themselves are quite unimportant. So the form of the miracle doesn't matter. That's not important. Mm-hmm. That's the second principle. Now, the third principle is that miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. What's a miracle? It's an expression of love. When does a miracle happen? After an expression of love. What is a miracle? It's an expression of love. Anytime you're loving, it's a freaking miracle. Mm-hmm. Especially these days, right?
And that love is all that's happening. Love is all that's real. Love is all that's going on. And when we can't see love, that's when we need the miracle.
Exactly.
Because we're seeing what's not true.
Mm-hmm. That's why we need a miracle.
As you said in class today, we're seeing nothing. That's an insult to us.
It's like, what are you calling my problems? Nothing?
Yeah, you call my problems nothing.
Oh, honey.
Did you not just hear what I told you happened?
Exactly. That's insulting that you're calling my problem nothing.
Yeah.
But that's how love sees our problems. Love isn't like, oh no, that's really bad.
That is bad.
Oh my God, I'll have to work on that for a while.
I guess the ego is true.
I guess the ego is more powerful than God. Now that I see that problem.
That is a problem. What was God on that one?
Exactly. But love goes, ooh, you done messed up, child. I don't even know if I can save you.
Yeah, I was too busy juggling all these other things to not be problems. How could I get them all?
Exactly. So that's what it means. Exactly. And that's what it means. That there is no order of difficulty in miracles. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. One miracle is not harder or bigger than another.
Right.
They're all the same to love. They're all the same to truth.
Yeah, because they're all untrue.
And so now our lesson as people who want to be healed is that now we stop making exceptions and we stop holding on to problems as if we can solve them, instead of quickly giving them over to love to solve. Yeah. Love, you said you can solve anything. Well, how about this one? Stop making that exception and holding problems to ourselves to figure out and solve as if we could. We're the ones who made it.
Yeah. It's like getting caught in a web. Mm-hmm. And the web is the lie. Mm-hmm. And we're caught in our own lie that we allowed to get caught in, which is our own interpretation of what's happening.
Yeah.
And so we're caught in that. And we're only caught in it because we tripped. We made a mistake. We didn't invite Creator who gives the meaning to everything. That's what Creator is the meaning giver.
The loving meaning giver.
And we tried to be the Creator and give the meaning to the situation.
Yeah, because we're just that smart.
Without
asking, without ever asking.
Just go create on our own.
Exactly, without going, Creator, is this true about them, about me?
Go do a little of our own interpretation.
Exactly.
We don't need Creator's involvement in this.
I'll be my own God.
Yeah.
I'll be my own judge.
Yeah, let me go do some judging myself.
I'm going to be God.
And then we come up with, and what do we do by doing that? We create, but what we create is an error without maker.
Exactly. The way we do being God is by judging people wrongly all day long. That's the way we like, I'll be God, I'm God. And so to prove that, I'm going to judge everybody all day long and unlovingly. And sometimes lovingly.
And our separate creations, what they end up producing is error, and what that error is a problem. That's what an error is.
That's right. That's what an error is.
And so it creates a perceived, perceptual, or whatever problem. And there, in reality, there are no problems. In our reality, we're like, well, that's not reality. Well, yeah, because we forgot reality. We've lost touch with reality.
That's our only problem.
And that is our problem.
Our only problem.
We need to return home. E.T. go home. Well, how about
you?
Anna go?
Exactly. How about come back home to sanity?
Yeah. And the way we get there is to realize, okay, of all the problems that I've been a co-creator with, because every single one that I believe in, I'm a co-creator.
That's right. You are the common denominator, honey, in all those problems.
Because I agree with either myself, if nobody else, or other people, or multitudes of many other people of the problem. So however many of us there are, that's how many creators
co-creators
there are of that illusion, of that perceived problem.
Yes.
And so it's so nice to know, no matter what one you created, the little ones, the medium size, and the really big,
the colossal
ones,
global ones.
like the global ones.
Yeah, there's some big global problems going on now.
No matter which one that you made,
there's
all
still
of them
nothing.
Are the same.
They're your higher spirit is like, it ain't no thing. That's not a problem to me. We're like, yeah, but what about global warming and World War III, global problems?
That's
and Spirit's like,
big ones out.
That ain't no thing to me either. That's nothing. It's still nothing. That is nothing to me. And we're like, you sure that this big global problem is really nothing to you? Spirit's like, that is nothing to me. Yeah. Like, as much as your cold that you have is nothing to Spirit. Spirit's like, that is nothing to me. We're like, no, this is a big problem. This is a tiny problem. This is a giant problem. This is a colossal problem. This is a global problem. This is a galactic problem. And Spirit's like, they're all the same to me.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
An error from which you are suffering needlessly. They're nothing. And so, but if you don't take your problems to love and truth, if you don't take your problems to Spirit, then you won't know that they ain't no thing, not one of them.
What it is, if we go running on ahead of like we like to call it a pack, our dog and us is, we have a pack. But anyway, in the pack, there's always the alpha leader, and Creator is that alpha leader.
Right.
That's why it has the title Creator.
Yeah.
God, Maker. Yeah. Because of those, talents that, God possesses to be the leader. Right. And we tend to run on ahead, and the way we run on ahead is we make our own interpretation.
All our judgments.
As you were saying, we're doing all the judging. And our judgments, we know what's going on, we know what's happening, we give the meaning to that, we give the meaning to this.
I know what should be happening here.
Now we know what's going on, and now we're God. We're the one that's judging everything and interpreting everything, giving our opinion on everything. And all it does is lead to self-inflicted pain and sorrow and misery. That's the opposite of what you get when you leave love out of the story.
Exactly.
When we run on ahead of love.
And don't ask love. What does this mean? What is it for? What's your will for me?
then you get the love list, which is what?
That's
Hate,
right.
anger,
Exactly.
depression, anxiety, fear.
Exactly. Where you ain't feeling any love.
Right,
At all. You're not feeling love. You're feeling pain and sorrow and sadness and depression and fear and worry and anxiety. You know, you're not feeling the love when you're being the judge. You know.
I think watching your life and really watching your life and you and I kind of mirroring each other a lot from what we've learned through a course and stuff. I really notice as things come into our relationship, into our household, under our roof, that as any household always has their problems, you know, from things to, oh, the tires got to get replaced.
It's a million things.
Whatever.
A million things.
Is you have you always have the two roads. You got the road of this is a problem, let me be angry about it, let me project a lot of hate and upset about it. Or we go to the tire place and we have a holy encounter with the workers there and everything, because my old self used to look at the problem and seem to focus a lot on everything going wrong. And man, look at all the emotional baggage that my old self had to carry. And then what I call my not old self, but between where I'm at then and there, is I slowly started changing over to, I was trying to find good in it, but that wasn't my job. But I thought it was my job. Be positive, try to just be positive and think that way, and look for the good. But then I realized that's not even my job, and my job became just in not understanding how this could be working out for good, or for my best interest, or for the best of the whole. But just to start trusting in that.
Exactly, trusting in the good.
Yeah, and now when things come up, I've noticed it in you a lot as well, that when things come up under our roof, you're quick to at first be like any normal person, go, like that sucks, or whatever, like a normal instant reaction. But then it's almost like a shrug within the character of you, to just shrug it off as if, oh well, somehow this is helpful, and somehow this is working out for good. Somehow, you know, God has my best interest still, and that has not changed. This situation does not change that story. And I think it plays a big part in learning that attitude more and more. Not that you or I have it down by any means, but the more we learn that attitude of, there's nothing that I can, that's the comforting, there's nothing that I can have as a problem.
That can't have an answer.
Or any number of them. It's not like, well, I got 20 problems. I've got just one. There's no number of problems. There's no ranking order of big or little that they are, that can't be taken to spirit and say, here, look at this. And that worst is, as you give it in faith of somehow this is working out for good. And I sure can't see it.
And that's the formula for miracles.
Yeah.
When you say, take this from me, I don't see how this could work out for good, but you said give it to you, and then that's when a miracle comes. And then a miracle is the result of that.
And I wanted to say in your class today, as a side note, that don't you believe that a lot of times you can't see, like, one of my greatest miracle stories for me personally, but it's almost like God would have to have told me my future like 2 years from now to really, in other words, you don't understand, this is necessary to happen now. And it wouldn't make sense for me to explain it to you now how this is working out for your good. Right. But where this is taking you to, because this happened, even if your house burnt down, where that's going to move you to is what God wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like thinking, well, that's a downgrade.
Right. Are you thinking this is a catastrophe?
No, it's not. And that's the point. You have, no matter what order of difficulty it is,
that you ascribe,
you have to believe in the truth, which is somehow this is an upgrade.
That's right.
Anna used to have this beautiful saying, you say it a million times, and I loved it. And sometimes you still do. This or better.
This or something better.
And we could be looking for a rental. We had a nice place, now looking for a rental. But God has this or something better.
That's
we don't
right.
look at it as a downgrade. We just are still trusting in God, where God is taking us. For some reason, He's taking us down this dark alley here. And I don't know why we had a lit up street over there.
Exactly.
Why you want to take a shortcut? Got all these wild dogs barking. Like, you know what he's doing here? But still trusting in, I just know that we got to do it this way.
Exactly. And, whenever we come into a jam and whenever problems come up, the first thing that we do now is we go, Holy Spirit, decide for me.
Yeah.
Be you in charge. I give this to you. Be you in charge. Decide for love and decide for miracles for us.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And, we see miracles just like, miracles just come every time we do that, even if we're doing it feeling like, oh, love can't handle this. Love can't transform this.
Yeah.
We say,
I'm just going
we're
to
asking for a miracle, right? We're asking for a miracle. Spirit, decide for a miracle for us. Be you in charge of this. And then almost always, every time, miracle, 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 miracle. So, all right. So then we were reading miracle principle number 3. Miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. So if you need a miracle and you want a miracle of peace, then one way to generate a miracle that you need is to express love somehow. And no matter what form, express love. Miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. So if you need a miracle, it's probably because you ain't been given love, and that's why you got a problem. And so if you need a miracle where you go from trauma to peace, then somehow express love. Even if it's like, I'm loving to this bug, or I'll be loving to myself for a moment, or I will express love to this person. It doesn't matter the form of how you express that love, but express some love somewhere. That's the antidote to the problem that you have, because that came from you not expressing love. You're expressing anger or guilt or whatever. You weren't expressing love, or you're expressing judgment. So miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. So if you want a miracle and need a miracle and you want it to happen naturally, just express some love. Who cares? It doesn't matter if it's a dog, a person, a bug. Just express some love. Yeah.
It falls right back into the hands of the giving and receiving principle. That what do you need? Well, give it.
What do you need? Give it.
Plant that seed. If you need a head of lettuce, don't just sit there on a rock and complain about it. Go get a seed that produces a lettuce and plant it. And so planting love, anything kind, anything loving, anything that brings about joy, peace, happiness. Right. If you're helping produce that in another, then what you're giving is to yourself.
Exactly. You are planting miracle seeds, miracles of peace and joy and abundance that you need. You're planting miracle seeds.
I love how it says that's how it happens naturally.
Yeah, naturally.
It's really giving us right out the gate. It's like not messing around. Right out the gate of the book, it's telling us, hey, miracles happen naturally if you just give kindness.
Yeah,
if
exactly. Just be kind.
Be good.
Be kind. Be loving. Be compassionate.
And anything that's loving would be an attribute of it.
Exactly.
And so give that, and then then you don't have to do anything. You just naturally did the greatest thing you could do for a miracle. You need a miracle?
That's the way to have one. And for it to occur naturally, where you don't have to be like, I'm waiting for a miracle. It just happens naturally as an expression of love. So my problem is a lack of love. Either I was unloving to myself or I was unloving to another. And now I have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then the answer is an expression of love. Where I wasn't being loving, now I'm going to express love. And now there's my miracle of peace I needed.
So let's run a storyline here.
Mm-hmm.
We've been fighting for 2 days,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then one of us, doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter which one,
Mm-hmm.
One of us comes in the room and says, "Hey, I'm getting ready to make some pancakes. Would you like to?
Exactly.
Would you like some?"
That's a loving expression.
Right.
That's an expression
And
of love.
even if the other person
It's like,
is like, "No, I'm not hungry,"
I'm not hungry.
and says it in that way.
Exactly the way I just said it. I'm not
Or
hungry.
the way I said,
Yeah.
"No, I'm not hungry."
Yeah.
Or, "I already ate a bag of chips." Try to give them some more.
I already
guilt.
binged a bag of chips because of you earlier.
Hint, hint.
Hint, hint. You're the reason I'm
But
upset.
it really doesn't matter. That literally, this is what we talk about when Anna and I talk about. Just put the applications to work. Quit coming up with, well, what about Hitler? Is that too big of a thing to see good in?
Yeah.
Quit
Focus
coming up
on
with the biggest stories and just
Yeah.
come back to
just focus on your
practical
petty
day-to-day
irritants
stuff.
today.
And when we're in that fight for 2 days, that neither one of us wants to give in
Mm-hmm.
their territory to the other, they want to stand their ground.
Mm-hmm.
The first one that
Makes an
literally
expression of love.
gives kindness, and you guys know what we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
because we've witnessed it. Who hasn't witnessed that? Even somebody you got in a fight with at school or something, I always remember that if one of them acted nice to the other, in other words, tried to show,
Yeah, I remember
you
that.
know, hey, you need a towel coming out of the locker room,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, whoa, okay, so they don't hate me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that always breaks the ice.
That's right. The expression of love.
Yeah, and then the other person starts
All it
thinking
takes.
about it, and after a while it sinks in. I should, that they realize that took a lot of the person that offered those pancakes or that towel, and they eventually come around and they offer you something back.
Exactly. An expression of love.
Yeah, but it's the way back. That's why it says miracles happen themselves naturally.
Through
They're gonna
you.
happen naturally if you express kindness,
That's
love,
right.
goodness.
Mm-hmm.
It's not rocket science in that perceived problem with that issue and that relationship. Is the reason it's an issue is because we're responding back and forth to each other with unloving stuff.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna be nice to them. You know what? How they've been treating me lately. Well,
Exactly.
That's how the ego keeps us in those loops. That's how the devil keeps us under his whatever.
Exactly.
His pitchfork.
Under his control.
Just keep fighting them back. Just keep giving what you don't want.
Exactly. Don't break the icy spell you break the icy spell with one expression of love.
Mm-hmm.
All it takes is one expression of love to break that web of anger.
As one section in the course talked about the saner of the two.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Being the one that brings the relationship and under Holy Spirit's care, under our higher loving self's guidance.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And that in itself is an expression of love.
That's exactly right. It's a loving expression to go, okay, we're both not in our right minds.
Yeah.
Both of us are angry.
Us
and both of us are not in our right minds, which means we're not in our loving minds.
Yeah.
We're not loving each other right now. And and then one person goes, well, I'm going to do something loving. I'm going to express some love.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be the first one to do it, instead of being like, well, she should be the one to express love first.
Yeah.
Instead of being like that, I'm going to go, I'm going to be the first one. And I'm going to do it for both of us, because we're both insane right now. And we're both about to sabotage this relationship, you know? And so, I'm going to be the one to break this sabotage cycle and be loving.
Yeah. Because we're both giving out to the universe, to heaven, of what bounces back to us, what we're giving.
Mm-hmm.
Anger, regret, just all kinds of stuff that we don't want back.
Grievances, resentment, attack, judgment.
We're gonna get it back, because that's what we're asking for. That's what we're giving. And so the loving way to do it is not to go to prayer, to our higher loving self, or to God, and say, would you fix this idiot?
Exactly. Would you please change them, God?
And then start giving them instructions on how to fix them. That's not loving.
No, that's not. That's
condemning.
Not.
That's just carrying on.
That's asking God to be your attack dog for you.
Yeah.
Will you please attack this person for me, God?
Yeah.
Come on, God. You owe me for my sucky life. All right. Beautiful. Thank you. I love it. Light Upon Light says, yes, all changes are helpful. Thank you, Mary. Mary says, good. So good to see you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, Mary says, you guys seem like you never fight. Would you like to take that one, honey?
Yeah, I would love to take that one. What I'd say in our first year was really challenging, because I was really had a lot of jealousy come up a lot of times with Anna, because I don't just believe in my perception is super beautiful and attractive, and I was always telling her the first year we were together, but I'm a guy. You don't know how guys think. I know how guys think. And let me let you in on some of what guys think. And
what they think and what they want.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really?
And so, like in any relationship, the things that trigger me, I wanted to make up some rules and guidelines and boundaries, and, to keep me to feel safe. Mm-hmm. And so those are the triggers of our fights. Mm-hmm. And so, like any, I guess, normal relationship, we had a lot of things why we were brought together to learn in our first couple years of our relationship. And I'm not going to, obviously we're not perfected in our relationship now, but I'll tell you what, we've come a long way.
Long way.
And to be honest with you, I used to even be afraid to say something like this, like I'm going to jinx myself just by saying it. But
I know that fear.
I can't. I would have to really think about it to think when our last fight was. Mm-hmm. That's how less often we fight.
Yes.
But
thank God. And that's a miracle.
A big part of that comes from what we've shared recently with you guys. We do read on the nights we're not doing classes. We read an hour, or if we feel longer, which we have lately, just because of the revelations we're getting. And it's so fun to sit there as a couple together and laugh and go and getting revelations as you're reading and journaling together, writing down, oh, I got to remember that one. And to be able to do that with a partner and that they love the same thing you do is really, it's an answer to...
It's a miracle.
The miracles I've asked for.
It's a miracle.
In my life.
And we're talking about principles of miracles.
Right.
That's a miracle.
Right. So, but... staying in truth together and working on truth together.
And bringing those fears and grievances and insecurities to the truth yourself and together. And the way we bring our ego and our insecurities and fears to the truth together is we read the course together, regularly. And that's one of our ways of when I'm upset and triggered, I don't remember the truth as good as when I'm reading it. And so, to be able to read the course together, is when we bring how we bring our insecurities and fears and grievances to the truth together. We read the course together.
Right. And Anna and I have gotten, it's like anything, we're talking about sparring. And when you're sparring, like in karate or something, boxing, you're learning reflexes. And the more you do it,
the more you practice,
it becomes natural.
Yes, the more you practice,
it's becoming more natural reflex for Anna and I. When something comes up, and everything comes up, all the days of the week,
all the time. Exactly. And that's what living here is learning.
From whatever the other person's done to what you're doing in your day, and the ego grabs every one of those as opportunity to find fault, to find something going wrong,
to have a grievance,
to find something bad,
to judge,
something potentially could go wrong,
to feel threatened by.
That's always the devil's, the ego's pathway.
No, and the ego is consistent.
Let's go find a problem.
The ego's vigilant on that.
Well, because we've been practicing, Anna even longer than me. She's a Miracle Karate black belt, 5th degree.
All right, thanks,
she can
baby.
roundhouse the ego with two hops and a jump. But our reflexes have become quick. When her and her daughter went to the hot springs last week, my ego first thought was, well, I like the hot springs.
I need healing.
And
I need healing
that
retreat
sounds
too.
fun. But the point is that any story, doesn't matter what the story is, she could be going the safe way and the ego will find something to complain about. The devil will come up with some accusation,
whatever,
to accuse your brother and sister about. That's the ego's job.
That's the ego's
to
job.
To find accusation.
And it's vigilant.
As the accuser.
It's vigilant.
And that's all it does, is accuse, and tries to get us to agree to the accusation that there's a problem.
That's right.
And because we've been doing it for so long, for a long time, for me in our relationship, it was, well, okay, somehow this is helpful. And it was almost reminding myself in anger.
Yes, you were saying the words without fully believing it.
But feeling like it really isn't helpful.
Exactly.
And now it really is. I feel like this is helpful. I believe it. I accept it.
Because you've experienced it.
I'm not resisting the idea so much. I'm not fighting the idea so much. And so the ego is losing its control. It's losing its battle with me. Because it's not as strong anymore. Because your reflexes get so fast that you're like, this is helpful. Oh, I know this is helpful.
Let me give this to
I
spirit.
know this is helpful.
Let me bring this to spirit. Let me ask love.
And sometimes, for real, that doesn't stop. Is let me take this one to spirit, because I am not just don't think it's helpful. It's emotionally taking my peace away.
Right.
So now it's partner time with spirit.
Exactly.
Time
to hand it over.
Don't waste a second.
Time to hand it over.
The longer you wait, the longer the pain lasts.
Right.
And so the quicker we give it over, the quicker spirit now has the invitation, our authority, believe it or not. God has our authority, which is called free will, to intervene.
Power of attorney.
And show there ain't no problem I can't,
in
the breath of my laughter blow away.
Exactly.
Because that's what it's going to be, is a story of
if you give it to me.
Yeah.
If you keep that problem for yourself to solve, like you used to solve problems in the past,
it'll continue being a problem.
And it will grow.
Yeah.
It will become a bigger problem.
and it will turn in from a baby to a little teenager.
Exactly.
And
problem.
if you keep the problem long enough, for years it turns into a full-grown adult.
And you don't want a full-grown adult problem.
Yeah.
That's really saying you definitely don't want a senior citizen problem.
Yeah.
You know, it's bad enough a teeny baby to problem. But you know, so if you give that problem to spirit to solve for you, spirit who knows that there's no order of difficulty in miracles,
Right.
you know, then that problem will get solved for you like that, like it was nothing that it is. You know, but if you keep that problem for yourself, like I know how to solve this problem, I'm gonna blame it on someone else. You know, that's our great problem solving approach.
Anna and I had a financial deal this last year. This is a great example. Is where, you know what I'm talking about, when your bank account gets at that level where it's a little nerve-wracking. You're not quite freaking out yet, but you're getting close to that point where you're going, okay, maybe I should
go work at the
now
post
you're
office.
trying to come up with ways to fix this perceived problem.
Right, exactly.
And I remember that, and this is part of what I talked about, what I noticed about you, is Anna never attacked me as her partner. She never said, well, you know, what are we going to do about money, you know, in 6 months or whatever. And seeing the bank account dwindling down, and then you can start counting on your calendar when that money will probably be gone. And then, and I didn't attack back on her, but we both carried the attitude of spirit.
Let's bring it to spirit.
Spirit has a plan.
Spirit, Spirit,
Yeah.
What's your answer to the dwindling account problem?
Yeah,
and we both took it to spirit together. We didn't turn on each other and blame each
That's
other.
what I was gonna say.
We both were like, in Holy Spirit, we give you our finances, and we ask you to be in charge. And what would you?
Yeah.
What do you want? What is your will
And
for
more than
us,
once.
financially speaking?
More than once, because the perceived problem kept coming up, and that's what I said is sometimes we don't know that what's happening along the way here. And in that story, we didn't know that a financial blessing that we totally were just talking about that earlier. We had no idea that this was going to come in this direction.
And so, in other
totally
words,
unexpected.
We applied the principles of miracles, which means we didn't blame each other.
We didn't attack with guilt. We didn't continue.
That's right. We didn't attack each other with guilt. We didn't blame it on each other. What we did was that we brought it to spirit, to the miracle worker, Holy Spirit, voice for God within us. We both brought it to the voice for God, and we said, please decide for abundance for us. And, you know, be you in charge. We give to you our finances. We give to you our bank account. What is your financial will for us, love? And then the next thing that we know, that somebody says, I'm going to give you a gift of $25,000 because blah, blah, blah. And it was a person that we would have never in a million years would have guessed that. There was somebody who said, I will never do that. Literally, verbally, out loud said, I will never do anything like that for any time.
In fact, they said they weren't going to do
That's what I said, exactly.
Yeah.
And so,
and then they did the opposite.
And so, exactly. And so, you know, when you and I applied the principle of miracles, where we didn't act like our financial problem was a big deal to love, and we brought it to love, and we said, here's our financial problem. You know, when we did the first principle of miracles, we acted like, you know, this isn't too big to bring to love. This isn't too big to bring to God. And so we brought it to love. And then the next thing you know, somebody goes, I'm going to give you a gift of $25,000. Somebody who had said in the past verbally, I will never do that.
And for example, like those who know me, I play poker. And I'm sure the ego tempted Anna at certain times of, do you really need to be going to play poker now? But she never said that. Is now a good time to be doing things like that? You know, our accounts are dwindling, you know. No, she would always, and I never perceived it any differently. She always acted in the same vein that she did 10 months ago when we weren't thinking that we had anything else going on in that direction. And so, I'm really becoming, as I've been sharing with you, realizing how powerful it is what we put out. And if we're putting out a perception of problems, then we're going to get back problems because we're putting that, whatever you want to call it, energy out. I would call it a belief. We're putting the belief in it out. And so it's going to come back to support our belief.
We're projecting it
out.
Our
beliefs are creating all the atoms and molecules and everything in our experience in this world to come into existence around us to support what we believe. And if I believe there's a money problem and the proof of I believe it is, I'm going to attack my partner. I'm going to start venting out to people, to things, and become hateful and angry because that's what problems do. They create anger, anxiety, fear,
tons of fear,
loneliness, depression. Yeah. All of those are the produce that comes out of the perceived problem.
Exactly, and the fear.
And we didn't experience that through that whole time period, and then the blessing came. And even I remember when we would pray that prayer together, what do you think of this, Spirit? Because once in a while, especially me, I would find myself, maybe I should go to work for the postal service out here, which would be like taking a gun.
Exactly. I was like, and I said, no, honey, I know that ain't the answer.
Perceived problem that it's like, why would I want to be involved in that?
Everybody complains about the post office up here.
If Spirit could really talk, Spirit would be like, Greg, don't worry about it. There's a blessing coming your way you have no idea about it. Just stay at peace. If I wanted you to go work for the post office, I would open doors.
I'd make it obvious.
And make it obvious. And for you to go that direction. Yeah, stop coming up with the solution.
Exactly.
And answer.
Stop trying to solve the problem yourself. Stop trying to solve the problem that you made yourself. Stop trying to solve the problem that you made yourself.
Yeah.
I was in a section we read the other day. It said the whole purpose of the curriculum is to enable you to give over to love the things that you're hurting yourself with. That's like the description of the purpose of the curriculum, that you would turn over whatever you're hurting yourself with, your problems, to love.
Yeah. Cast all your cares and burdens on your higher loving self.
Exactly. That's what this curriculum is about.
Yeah.
You stop saving the problems to solve yourself as if you can, but you're the one who made them, so you can solve them yourself. The only answer, the way to cure and solve that problem is to hand it over to the loving mind, your loving right mind that knows how to solve them, who sees all your problems as the same, nothing.
Yeah.
And so that's what the whole curriculum's about. But doing that in a relationship is it seems like a big risk at first, because it seems like a big risk to hand over the problems in the relationship. The problems in the relationship are the ones that seem most dangerous, most frightening, because you're in a relationship with this person.
Right.
But when you do what A Course in Miracles says, and instead of turning on each other, where all your instincts are to turn on each other, all your instincts are literally to just turn on each other.
Yeah.
And start attacking each other, thinking that would make you safe.
Right.
And so, but in a relationship where you're feeling triggered, to then go, Spirit, what is your will for us financially? We give this over to you. Holy Spirit, we're asking for your financial will, answer miracles for our relationship, and doing that together in a relationship and watching the mind-blowing miracles that happen where you're like, how did that happen? Oh, that's a miracle. Where the quote impossible happens, is like the ultimate surprise.
Yeah.
Because your ego is every thought in your ego's mind is screaming, attack this person. They are endangering you.
But because of the reflexes of A Course in Miracles.
But because of how you've been practicing through A Course in Miracles and the workbook and everything else, you're able eventually to go, no, I'm not going to attack.
I don't want to give what I don't want back.
Attack.
Why would I want to attack myself?
Exactly. And the first part of that, the first time of that is very like, where it's like intentional, like I will not attack.
Like you just do a little attack, but then you slowly catch yourself.
Exactly.
And giving it the spirit.
Exactly.
But you're in the middle of that. Of not doing it right, but at least you're on the right track.
Exactly. And the more that you read together, you're getting more practiced in bringing your problems to love, to spirit.
Right.
The reading of the Course, you and me reading the Course together at least an hour a day is like you were saying with judo, with any martial art, it's like, it's us practicing, making these principles our natural instinct, making it our natural instinct. Since that's what we're doing when we read together. Even if we're reading together and we're like, whatever, ho-hum, I'm tired, let's go to bed. Mm-hmm. We're still practicing our moves, so to speak, our new responses. Mm-hmm. So that when the trigger comes, which it's going to, we're in a relationship, we're in the world, then we've already practiced our moves to bring the problem immediately to spirit and go, please solve this for us.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's why we study together regularly. So awesome.
All right.
Okay. Wow. That was only 2.5 miracle principles.
Okay. We'll read another one.
Okay. All right.
After we finish the half of the last one.
And also, you can see here where we're at in terms of our timing.
Oh, okay. That's
so
awesome.
that we know where we're at timing wise.
We're already thinking about. We started about.
Exactly right. And so there you have your clock right there. All right. Okay. So I love it. So I just want to check out. So Sydney Rutalik says, I wonder why I perceive others' happiness as my problem. Very good. Why God wants me to pursue my own happiness. Exactly. Why I perceive others' happiness as my problem. That's a special relationship. I perceive other people's happiness as my problem. And I perceive my happiness as their problem. But you're responsible for my happiness. My happiness is your problem. You're like, but I love you. That's great. That's a very great way to say that, Sydney. Thank you.
And he's also asking, I wonder why I perceive other people's like it's your kind of your responsibility to see that they're happy.
Mm-hmm.
And that is by far not from the truth, because it's not even our job to
make ourselves happy. We don't, obviously, we don't even know how to make ourselves happy.
Exactly.
Obviously.
And so we obviously can't make another. I look at it.
Duh.
I'm
Obvious
glad that
alert.
She brought that up, because I was just thinking, for those of us that are in relationships that the other person doesn't read with you, and their purpose or intentions that they're setting is not for peace. It is for drama. It is for controversy. It's like they don't have any interest in learning a spiritual path of enlightenment or awakening or whatever you want to call it. Learning about truth or how things are as Creator originally established them,
or how to evolve or grow. They may not seem interested in that.
And so
growth and evolution.
They're not aware of principles, nor do they care of principles of as you give, you receive. you can't break that law. It doesn't matter what religion you set up, what book you read it from.
Universal law.
The universal law is the universal law. And my job, what A Course in Miracles taught me is when I first, and I'm not at all saying this is going to happen to your relationship, and it's probably not going to, for real. But my particular relationship with who I was in relationship with, slowly and was done just totally, I could see, orchestrated by my higher loving self for both of us, for the benefit of both of us. But we're not in that relationship anymore. And the Course teaches us that some relationships do come to an end, but they're not an end as we would think.
It's
just for this particular learning process right now that you're going through in life. What you came to learn from that other person has ended, and now you are learning through different relationships. Spirit's taking you through another. It's almost like I'm transferring you over to this other school. Not that it's a higher school or whatever. It's just another school where I want you to learn these things now, and you're going to need another partner. Some of our relationships, that's what happened. And then my particular one, Spirit decided to match me up in a relationship with somebody else that's what we both miraculously did share. But in the relationships that the other person isn't like that, our job is just to function on me. And what I was hearing before we read her post was, I saw in my mind 2 tuning forks, and that the tuning fork will resonate with the other tuning. You don't even have to do anything to the other tuning fork.
Right.
You can hit a tuning fork and put it next to one, and it will start resonating, and they will both, in the middle, end up being resonating at the same exact vibration.
Frequency, that's right.
And frequency.
Yeah, wow.
And that's how our relationships are. And so I need to start resonating at a different vibration than we have. The one we had been vibrating at is vibrating at,
lower
I'll give
frequency.
You some anger back for the anger you just
so a
gave
low
me.
Frequency.
I'll give you some judgment back for the judgment, or condemnation for the condemnation you just gave me. The guilt that you just gave me, I'm going to give you. Oh yeah, I'm going to give you some guilt back. What about when you did this and that? And that was the old paradigm, the old world.
That's right. The old type of relationship.
And my job isn't to make them happy. My job is to make me happy, and to make that until I get healed and become happy. There's no way I'm going to make them happy.
Hell no.
And so and there's no way they're going to vibrate at a different frequency if I'm still vibrating at the frequency they're at. So I have to get out of that for both of us. And if that leaves us both together, hallelujah. And that's why I said there's a good chance. But there has to be a part of the other person that wants that. Exactly. God can't even want it for him. How are you going to want it for him?
Exactly.
And so just allow it to be your goal, that I'm going to resonate with the vibration of love, which is putting out only kindness, only goodness, and when I can't see it, I immediately run to the one who takes that burden from me and hand it off. And that's all my job really is.
That's your one responsibility in the relationship.
And right. And then it will miracles will naturally happen. In other words, a miracle is joy. A miracle is happiness.
Some form of peace.
That's the product of a miracle. Is rejoicing.
That's right.
So my job is just to be true with myself and my responsibility to get myself right, and then the rest will automatically happen.
All be given. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven within.
Right.
Yourself. And then, is yourself.
It's yourself.
Exactly. First. Remember, the Course says you are the kingdom of heaven.
Right.
It's not the kingdom of heaven is within me. It's like, no, you are the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah, you are.
And seek that first, the kingdom of heaven within you that you are. and then all else will be added.
Right.
All else, in other words, the other tuning fork will vibrate to the same higher frequency.
And our goal, I believe, is to get the ascension is to get to a place where everywhere we go to preach the good news is to wherever we go, all we're channeling only what's good going on here. That's all we can see anymore. That's our arrival place.
Only the love.
Is we're like channeling our higher loving spirit through us to the world. And imagine a world that has these channelers that only can show you everything that's good that's happening in the story. And nobody else could see it because they were all like in a distraction to seeing what they thought was bad.
Exactly.
And so they couldn't see the good. But the saviors of God, the miracle workers, the teachers of God have come to say, hey, there's nothing but good going on here.
Right.
People are like,
look at all these loving thoughts.
There's a wildfire in LA. How could this be good?
Right, exactly.
You're like, well, because I walk with the one that only can see good.
And it definitely sees lots of good.
Yeah.
It sees only good. Let's see if we can see it through their eyes.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can see it through love's eyes, who sees only good.
Yeah, all those people being displaced from their homes. Do
Show
you
us
or I know
how to see
the
only
results
good
of all the people they're going to now have to run into and deal with, that all those opportunities of relationships that are going to now be forced onto their lives?
Right.
Do we know what's really happening
and
in
do
all
we
of
know
those situations?
And do we know an answer that is only good for all involved? No, we don't. But love does.
Right.
Love looks on even the LA catastrophe, LA being on fire. Love, when love looks on that, love doesn't see a problem. Love only sees an answer, the perfect answer, no matter how big the catastrophe. Right. We are the ones who see that there are orders of difficulty and miracles. Like, even God could bring a miracle to the LA disaster, but we see limits on miracles. We see orders of difficulty in miracles, but love does not see any. And so our job is to take all the places where we see a limit on love and an order of difficulty in miracles, and we go, this seems like this would be a harder miracle than others. And then try to solve it ourselves, but instead give it to love and go, no order of difficulty in miracles for love. Here you go, love. Here you go, love. We're giving to you the fires in LA catastrophe. We're giving that to you, love. You said there's no order of difficulty in miracles. Well, we're asking one on behalf of all the people affected by the fires in LA. Yeah,
I was seeing titles as you're speaking. It's so great for me that a lot of times in our classes when you're talking, I see very vivid images in my mind. And so as you're speaking, I see all these titles on the YouTube videos. Suspicion of drones setting fires in the LA area, because we've had these drones in the area. And what do we tend to do is we always look for what the bad is or the potential bad could be. Why are these drones all over flying up over our cities and stuff? What are they doing?
Instead of asking for love.
Yeah.
Instead of asking for love's answers.
And what I was seeing as you're talking is every one of because I used to think, well, don't look for stories like that. And what I was feeling like Spirit was showing me is no, do, because it's great learning opportunities. You can go surfing through, and every one of those stories that we find, this is going on, this is happening in Ukraine, this is what Russia is doing, this is what China is doing, this is what the dollar is doing, this is what inflation is doing. Every single one of those stories, let's take this week, literally, and what I saw in my mind is take just 5 seconds. Close your eyes quickly at some point when it's available to do it, and just say, Spirit, I give this inflation, this
problem,
the new unemployment numbers, I give
Problem.
that to you because it looked like a problem to me. And just keep doing that.
Yeah.
And let's put that into practice this week, because what the practice is teaching us is we don't realize yet at this early state of the curriculum of the book at all why we're even giving it to Spirit. We're just being told to do it. But I know now, because of the practicing of it,
and your experiences, the miracles have come from
and
it.
having experienced all the miracles, is because what Spirit's trying to get me to do is I'm projecting. I'm always projecting. That's my creative ability. And I'm projecting bad stuff, yucky stuff that I don't want back in my experience, but I'm not aware I'm doing it. And every time I buy into, oh, this is a horrible problem, this is a situation, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing that. I can't believe he said that.
Now I got to make a plan of defense.
And so that becomes the channeling energy of my creative energy coming forth out of me, of that. And Spirit goes, okay, switch, turn it to me, channeling it to me. That yucky stuff that you don't want back into your experience. I don't want that anger back. I don't want that upset back.
That's right.
I don't want that condemnation of this is bad back. I want, this is great.
This is a miracle. What a miracle.
Wonderful.
What a miracle.
God.
Thank you, God, for this miracle.
What a blessing.
That's
Hallelujah.
what we do want.
That's the kind of vibration
That's what we do want.
I'm looking to plant, because that's what I want back.
Yes.
And Spirit's trying, the learning lessons of the curriculum is give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, and learning. And that's what stops the fight so much, because when the temptation to fight my partner in my relationship, it quickly comes to memory of what I'm giving. That used to be at the back of my mind, buried deep somewhere. And now it's at the front of my mind, because I realized the principle.
Yes, the
And
law,
so
the universal law.
I'm not tricked easily anymore by giving something I don't want back. In fact, it's starting to sound more and more like insanity to me.
Unappealing
as
insanity.
As the time of learning goes along, that why would I want to give that? And so it makes it easy for me to let go of it, faster and everything, to the point a lot of times I don't even need to give it to Spirit, because I've already recognized what I don't want. I don't want that energy back. And the ego makes you believe that you're not giving it to yourself, you're giving it to that person.
And it won't come back to you.
Yeah, it won't come back to you. You two are separate.
Exactly.
You're not one.
Right.
You're not joined.
Exactly.
You're not connected.
Exactly.
And
they are to blame.
Yeah.
So if you attack them for it, it's not going to affect you. It's not going to hurt you.
And they deserve it.
And they deserve it anyway.
The ego might as well say, and you deserve it. I mean, oops, no, they deserve it.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
No,
that's what the ego says.
Yeah. So that's the trick of the game.
That's the trick of the ego. That's the scam that the ego uses in your relationships to make sure that you always be suffering, that you always be unhappy.
Right. Yeah, seeing a splinter in their eye, you have a beam in your own eye, is really, as soon as you perceive a splinter in the eye, you just put a beam in your own eye.
Exactly.
You did that to yourself.
Exactly.
Like, get that beam out of my eyes.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And as a witness, I know that you have come a long way. You have demonstrated that you have learned that.
Thank you.
So that even when I can see that your ego has gotten, your ego wants you to attack, you don't, and you do something loving, so you've been demonstrating that beautifully.
Yeah. Or something loving comes in. And this is truly another thing that I really have appreciated with Spirit about it, allowing Spirit to put you into the relationship where the other person is doing the same work. It is hard to walk with somebody that's not doing the same, they're not on the same path. If their path is drama and your path is peace, eventually the two will be either drama all the time, or they will be peace all the time. And that's why it's so important that you have to stick to your guns of what your goal is. Forget what theirs are. Just your goal
of peace,
and don't worry about the other one. But once you're in a relationship with somebody that serves what I've noticed is, let's say Anna's in a relationship with me and mine is, I'm still like the drama and the conflict and
blaming.
And she's dug her heels in with Holy Spirit and she's going for peace. Well, what I've learned in relationships is if I'm not going to change, and sooner or later I'm going to not like this relationship because the drama addicted, conflict addicted person
will be dissatisfied with me.
They need a partner.
Which means they would be dissatisfied with me.
And if the other person's not going to cooperate and fight back, attack back, give guilt back, judge back, give condemnation back, then they'll be dissatisfied. They can't get what they're seeking, which is the drama and the conflict.
Exactly. So they'll feel bored or they'll feel dissatisfied.
But if you're sticking to your guns and they're not, what I noticed happen, and I noticed this through different contractors with my workplace, is if they wanted to continue on drama and I decided for peace, that because of what they're putting out
and what they're addicted to,
then while I'm around them, it's coming back to them. And depending on how close I am to that relationship, I could be affected. Like because of what they're putting out, the car breaks down the next day. So now they don't show up to my job site. And so I'm affected, even though I'm not personally affected by the drama that they're getting back in their life, their car breaking down, they're not connecting the dots. So this is your request back for drama. Now you got drama with your car. And you asked for drama, there you go. But it does affect the people around them that way. And what I've noticed is what Spirit does, again, you don't have to do anything. This is another thank you, Spirit, for having your title and your job responsibility. But Spirit does start, because you're putting out the no drama energy, your relationship, somehow they just start building around you that's what you have.
Right. Or they self-select out.
They self-select.
If they're a drama addict, if they're an addict, and you're sticking to your guns, like my only purpose is peace, and they're a conflict addict, they will self-select out. They will make a way where they don't work there anymore. For instance,
don't have to do anything. You don't have to,
but except for remember your purpose for peace. And stick to your guns in that your purpose is peace.
Exactly.
So that you're not going to feed the conflict or the drama, you're going to feed the peace.
Yep. And watch everything unfold and give it time to unfold. We spent some good time building the dumpster we've been eating out of and living in.
Exactly.
Full of drama and conflict and issues and perceived problems.
We've been feeding our grievances for a lifetime and maybe many lifetimes. And so, to break the habit, the addiction of feeding the conflict or addicted to conflict, it's not going to happen overnight. As long as we've been feeding our addiction to conflict, we've been feeding our conflict addiction for, at least a lifetime, maybe more. So be patient with yourself as you're breaking your addiction to conflict. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with others. They are conflict addicts like you were, like you may still be. And so be patient. It takes a while to break the habit of thinking that, that the answer to every problem is attack, is conflict, is making more conflict. it takes a while to break an addiction, especially an addiction to conflict, as long as we've had it, which is the addiction to attack. We've developed a very, very destructive habit, addiction to attacking when we feel afraid, when we feel threatened.
Right.
It's just like instinct, and to break that addiction, that habit that we've had for no telling how long, it takes a minute. And that's what a miracle is. A miracle is where you've been doing the same thing for eons, lifetimes, attacking when you feel afraid, attacking your savior, the people around you, your saviors, they literally are your saviors. You're literally, when you attack people, you're attacking your saviors. To stop attacking your saviors when you become afraid, that is a miracle. And it takes a while to break that old destructive habit. But every time that you do, a miracle of love and joy and abundance and safety and security, ta-da, naturally occurs.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Because it's what you requested.
Exactly. And all it takes is one person deciding to give love to, into a situation or relationship where no love had been being exchanged.
Right. So there was a love lack.
Yeah. And so one person choosing love for the other who is forgetting at the moment.
Right.
That's all it takes for both people to have a miracle of love replace the manifestation of hate. And so I was thinking maybe next week we should read that section that starts off with the first sentence is, you do not understand how much you hate the other person, your brother. That's how this section started. Yeah. That was the first line. You do not understand how much you hate this person, or something like that. I mean, you're like, oh, wow, that's a intense way to. That's a nice opening line for a section. Okay.
Right.
And but maybe I was thinking, maybe we'll start with that next time. But
yeah.
But for all the hate that we experience and manifest in our relationships, have you ever noticed that the relationships always start off like total love and they then progress to like total hate? Have you ever noticed that little pattern in relationships?
That.
Right. So the Course in Miracles is saying all it takes is one person to do an expression of love. One person, instead of going like, well, you should be doing it for me first. One person to say, I'm going to do it for both of us.
Right.
Even though the other person has not been giving me love, I haven't been giving them love, I'm going to give love for both of us right now. All it takes is one expression of love like that on behalf of the other one to absolutely break the hate curse, or the hate cycle that the people are stuck in,
Yeah.
So.
And what if they don't return in a loving response? And what if they return with an unloving response?
Yeah.
And they treat you
right.
Still as bad as ever before, even worse.
Yeah, exactly. What if?
Then continue with the same
to give
process.
Love, to continue with the expressions of love.
Yeah, just keep looking.
That's exactly right.
Opportunity
to express love.
To give love. Why?
Right.
Because it's what you want.
Exactly, because it's what you want.
Keep remembering your goal.
Exactly.
Don't try to remember their goal.
Exactly.
They forgot their goal.
They forgot. They need help. They're calling for love.
Yeah.
Like you. And so I loved what you were saying earlier. About remembering, helping to remember for them.
Right.
And all it takes is one of the two to remember their purpose for the other, to break the hate curse that has possessed the relationship.
And of course, as the saner of the two, the reason it's the saner is because even you doing it are obviously not completely sane, because a sane person wouldn't even be tempted.
That's right.
They would just laugh at the idea of giving attack
back when someone was calling for love.
Because they know they don't want to attack back.
Exactly. And they recognize that person was not attacking them. That person was calling for help.
Right. And so
that's what a sane person knows.
The whole concept of attacking back would be ridiculous and ludicrous to the completely sane mind.
Exactly.
But to the temporarily not as sane,
the temporarily insane person
you're still insane, but you're a little less insane than the other one.
That's it. And that's
because
it.
you're still tempted to give attack back. Is the proof that
you're also insane. But you're a little less insane. A little.
And so you're the only one, even that love has hope to manifest of the two. The other
your love's only hope in that situation.
Willing, And so you're the only prospective doctor in the room that can be the physician to bring healing to that situation.
And all it takes is that teeny tiny little bit of less insane.
Right.
And the less insane one is the one who goes, okay, we're in this together. It's impossible that we not experience the same, like you were saying about the tuning forks. Because we're one, it's impossible that one of us experience something the other person doesn't experience with them. Okay, so if you're insane, that means I'm going to be insane. If you're in hell, that means I'm going to be in hell. So because I don't really want to be in hell totally, I'm going to ask for peace for both of us. Because if one of us is in hell, the other one's going to be in hell. And everybody who's been in a relationship knows that it's not possible for you to have a happy, peaceful, joyous relationship while your partner is in hell. Everybody knows that. It's like, that literally whatever your partner, whatever the people you're in a relationship with, your child, your partner, whatever your colleague, literally it's impossible for one of you to suffer and the other person not suffer with them. Everybody knows that, but we don't hear that said out loud, straight like that. And so the least sane person goes, well, if they're in hell, I'm going to be in hell. So I'm going to ask for peace for both of us. That's it. That's the one who is the less insane, who can literally bring peace and joy and love back for both of them with that tiny little willingness.
Right. And the least insane one is the one that is the least sane because they're starting to remember truth.
Yes.
The other one's lost truth.
Completely.
They're blind to truth.
Gone. They didn't even want to hear the truth.
The less insane one, they're getting a little light back into their mind, which is remembering truth.
Exactly.
And like Anna had to take our daughter Aria down into town to a friend, and I immediately felt offered to drive them down there. But I guess my old self would have felt obligated. I should do that because the roads have been not so great lately. And a part of me does care about them and wants their safety. But another part of me yet sits there and goes and already knows this truth that this cycles in my being now. It's like a part of me now. It likes doing things that are good. That are loving and kind, because I know and I know it sounds maybe ridiculous, and hopefully it doesn't to some of you, but it's like the teacher's manual says that out of selfishness, the teacher of God has learned.
Is generous.
Yeah, is generous. And it's out of selfishness because I know that kind act has so many benefits because I get to be with my wife, and I wanted to be because we haven't been together. That was part of it. And I started looking at all the benefits. I get to be with her, help keep her safe, keep her company, and I knew that she would like that. In my heart, I knew she would feel good about that.
Yeah, I would feel
More
supported and loved by that offer.
And so, and there's the part that might sound selfish and ridiculous, but I just know how it works. I know when I show up to the poker table in a few days that possibly, not that will be, but it possibly will
come back to you.
The harvest, the part of the harvesting of my giving good.
Yes.
And giving good.
And that's how it works.
It has to come back somehow through some avenue.
Exactly.
And so now it makes me a happy giver because I know what happens in my
when
giving.
You give,
it just comes back to me. And so that's how it continues being a win-win. Win-win.
Exactly.
Instead of the old way of let me
sacrifice,
look for where there's a problem here.
Resentment.
Why does she have to go to her friends
tonight?
And don't you know what the roads are like? You shouldn't be out this way. I'm your daddy, Anna.
Exactly, Anna. Oh, and I'm God too.
Yeah.
I'm not just your daddy. I'm also your creator.
But the old Greg that was needing to learn more than where the new improved Greg is coming to be, didn't think that way at all. Didn't think of consequences at all of what I'm giving.
Right.
Didn't think that way.
Didn't think that's how it worked.
Didn't see the benefit in giving good and kindness and giving love. Love is extending. I love that.
And also a miracle is an expression of love. So anytime you're expressing love, you are literally creating miracles.
Right.
And you're asking for miracles.
Right.
Anytime you express love.
Right.
Our past selves didn't know that.
Right.
Our past self was like, well, the way that you get love is you get people to do what you want them to do when you give them guilt. And you call it love. That's how you get love.
Yeah.
That's what our past selves.
And then by their actions, somehow that will magically make you finally happy and satisfied in life, and you will never need anything else.
Very good. You'll live happily ever after. That's what our past selves believed.
Yeah.
And
never worked.
Never. Exactly. And now we've learned from A Course in Miracles and are still learning. We are learning that the only way to experience miracles in our lives is by the expression of love. Not trying to get love, not trying to get people to prove their love by sacrificing, but that we experience love as we express love.
Right.
That's how we experience love, not by making people show me you love me. Prove to me you love me.
Right.
That's not how you experience love.
Yeah. And you don't change them by saying, hey, why don't you sit down and read with me this spiritual curriculum or whatever pathway you're in, and so that we can join and you don't try to change them like that.
That's right.
But you will change them, not particularly the way you think they need to be, but you will change them in a way that brings happiness to you by giving them kindness, by not giving them guilt.
Yes.
And we've been taught that's not how you make a relationship work. But boy, when you just start doing it from your side, you'll be crazy amazed to the blossoming of that relationship, what it produces.
Totally.
Because they'll recognize it. And sooner or later, they'll start realizing, man, it feels good that they're not trying to correct me all the time,
control me,
judging me, and not telling me what to do. They're not telling me how to do things all the time, and they'll start recognizing that that's what you're doing because it's a contrast to what you used to do.
For sure.
This controlling freak.
Yeah.
And
they'll go, I like that.
Yeah.
That feels good.
Yeah. And whether it comes back to them
or somebody else,
it has to come back.
Whatever you give. And that's exactly right.
So you can't lose on the deal and go, well, they didn't give it back to me.
I love it.
Well, hey, look over your shoulder.
Look at that beautiful person over there wants to give it to you.
Yeah, or that thing happened.
Yeah, or that beautiful, amazing miracle that now can happen.
Right.
Exactly. So true. Exactly. So I like that. So you don't need to worry about like, well, they're not reciprocating or they don't really want the love themselves. So I don't know about giving it. Give it. And then you kick in the law, which means if you give it, then you're going to receive it, whether it's through that person, it'll either be through that person or it'll be from somebody else.
Nobody can block it.
Nobody.
They may look like they're blocking it because they're not reciprocating to your love that you're giving. They still respond with anger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that's just a distraction from where something is going on.
That's right. A miracle. A miracle.
Yeah, you look around and go, oh, wow, that's a coincidence.
Look at that coincidence.
That happened.
Which couldn't have happened if that thing hadn't happened. So
and I was so tempted not to allow that to happen because I wanted to give anger back to that person. And instead of that nice thing, kind, loving thing happening in my life,
that miracle,
I would have more garbage coming into my
more drama.
More
pain,
drama, more heartache,
more disaster,
more stuff I don't want to deal with.
Yep, beautiful. Well, we've gone over by 20 minutes.
That's nice.
No worries. No order of difficulty miracles.
We could go over 5 hours if you guys want.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, Greg, all right, let's do 5 hours.
Yeah, let's do it.
And that's it. And we'd be like, okay. I love it. So, I just want to just do a little quick looking at our wonderful comments. Yeah. Thank you. Let me see. I love, so Mary says, so good to hear you guys. So funny. You guys seem like you never fight. That was a beautiful comment because that led us into some very deep, beautiful stuff. Thanks, you. Mary. Thank you, Mary, for saying that. Mary says, she's so beautiful. And then love your honesty, Greg. That's so nice that you guys share ACIM. Wish I had that. That's when Greg started talking about, well, what if you don't? And so here's what you do to create that for yourself. Okay. And then Mary says, maybe one day. And then Sydney says, I wonder why I perceive others' happiness as my problem. That was such a great, thank you for saying that, Sydney. That took us into some really beautiful, deep stuff too. Mary says, you inspire me with Holy Spirit's guidance. Thank you for your great teachings. Mary says, I feel I'm on track when I hear you guys creatively expressing your wisdom of the Course. Beautiful. Thank you, Mary. I know how good it feels to feel back on track. You know, I know what it feels to feel off track, with truth, with my spiritual path. And so I know how good that feels to feel back on track with your spiritual life, your purpose, Sydney says, that's exactly what's going on, Greg. Exactly what happening, channeled for me. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you for saying that, Sydney.
That's great.
Tuning in is a miracle right now. Thank you. Showing us how to see only good. Exactly. Mary says, thanks, guys, for sharing so honestly and openly. You are both so authentic. Thank you for appreciating that, Mary. It is a miracle. She goes, that sounds like my life with men. I don't remember what that was from, but
obviously some comment around that time.
Exactly.
My life with men.
Exactly. I wish I remembered what it was that she was commenting on.
Yeah.
Sydney says, it doesn't give us the result our ego wants, but it's so freeing coming back home to truth. What else matters? Beautiful, Sydney. Beautiful. All right. Wow. Beautiful comments, guys. That's awesome. Guys. Thank you. That's really beautiful. Thanks for, joining this healing journey through A Course in Miracles and our relationships with us. And thanks for your amazing, wonderful comments. You guys are our teachers as much as we may be for you. So thank you for that.
For sure.
All right. So so I don't know what we're going to do next week, but anyway, that was awesome.
I like your idea. Hopefully Spirit will remind us next week of that, because I love that. Is I remember that sentence when you and I were reading it. It was like, how much I hate other people. I don't hate other people.
And we're like, I don't hate anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's why
Yeah.
it says you don't realize.
Maybe, exactly. That's why I said you don't realize. Right, exactly. You call it so many other things, like I'm irritated with you, or you're wrong,
if
or
you didn't hate them, you wouldn't use them to bring pain to yourself.
oh.
Is that what I'm doing?
Well, we'll talk about that another time.
And in doing that, giving anger back to them or whatever, we're now giving them very strong temptation to give what they don't want back.
Mm-hmm,
so
exactly.
That's not loving them.
And so we're learning how to give miracles instead of attack back. Mm-hmm. That's what we're learning how to do. So where we used to be in a chronic habit addiction of attacking back and creating more conflict and more pain, what we're learning through A Course in Miracles is how to break that addiction cycle and not give attack back, but give love instead. Mm-hmm. Choose love instead. Mm-hmm. So, or choose at the very least to give it to spirit and go, you decide. Yeah. What do you think? So even, if I can't give love back instead of attack, then what I'm supposed to do is give it to spirit. Yeah. And say, spirit of love, you decide for this situation. I don't know what it means. Mm-hmm. So that's what A Course in Miracles is teaching us how to do. And that is a principle that produces miracles. Right. So.
Love it.
All right. Love you guys. You guys are so awesome. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe if you appreciate this class and want to strengthen these ideas going out into the world. Like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate you guys so much.